Howdy, friends. This is Owen Thomas, and I play Twisted Fate in League of Legends. And you're listening to The Gaming Outsider. Only 2 jokers in the deck, and I get dealt you.
What's happening, Gaming Outsiders? On this week's episode, Zack and I welcome Jacob Gunderson from the GOAT team to discuss feeling obligated to finish games and share times we finished certain titles but we really didn't want to. In news, Apple is actually allowing emulation on their devices now, and it's another banger week for me in new games as I've been enjoying the mess out of Minishoot Adventures. You'll also hear Zack's impressions of Penny's Big Breakaway, and I checked out Mighty Mage on PS5. This is the Gaming Outsider. Greetings, programs, and welcome to the Gaming Outsider, a video game podcast with a focus on our incredible community, which can be found at thegamingoutsider.com or our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/thegocast, and even our Discord server, which there is a link for in the show notes of this very episode. It is Sunday, April 7th. I'm your host, Scott Clark, and joining me is my good friend, Mr. Zack Parkerson. How you doing?
Good. Great. Wonderful.
Yeah? Good week?
So
Yes,
aggressive.
no?
Yeah, I'm aggressively positive this week.
Yeah. The voice you hear is not CB. It's not Alyssa. Both were unavailable tonight. I thought it would be a good opportunity to bring on a good buddy of mine that I spent most of the day yesterday with over at the Midwest Gaming Classic in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Mr. Jacob Gunderson. Jake, how you doing?
I'm all right. My back kind of hurts still, but that was a lot of walking yesterday.
Yes, it was. First, I was like an hour and a half drive, and then we had to. How long were we in line just to get into the event? It had to have been like at least 45 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, it was outrageous. Not the longest I've ever spent in line, but
yeah,
it was definitely fun.
A problem you will never have to experience at a well-organized event like R2V2.
There you go. Speaking of R2V2 2024, we do have a date set. It is going to be Saturday and Sunday, October 12th and 13th later this year. It's all but confirmed. That's part of the reason Jacob and I went up there, along with CB and Chris Owens and CB's family, was to try to get some more vendors and VIPs to come sign up to be vendors and VIPs at our event as well in the future. So we made some good contacts, and we're moving forward. So I think this week I'm going to be signing some paperwork with our new venue, and it's going to be much, much better. Jacob can attest.
The best resource we have right now is other people's conventions. So
yeah, pretty much. If anybody out there has any contacts with anybody that would make an awesome guest, or anybody that would like to sell retro video games or anything video game related at a convention full of people who love games, be sure to let us know. I would greatly appreciate it.
And I thought poaching was illegal in the Midwest.
Sure, there you go. Well, we should talk about Midwest Gaming Classic. I don't know if I told you this, Zach, but John was there. They had asked him to be at the Midwest Gaming Classic, so we actually got to go talk to him, and he recognized us.
Shots of tequila did you do?
Did not do any. He actually invited us to meet him for a drink out at his hotel, like at the hotel bar. But he wasn't going to be available till like 7 o'clock, and we had been on our feet for about 10 hours straight with hardly sitting down at all. And we still had an hour and a half drive to get back home. So we kind of made the executive decision to just head home and go to bed because we were all pretty exhausted.
Imagine the party you would have had pre-marriage, John St. John, huh?
Right? Exactly.
Although walking up to John St. John and getting instantly recognized and thanked again was an amazing feeling.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
We were talking to him. We all had our matching Go shirts on, and somebody from MGC came up and said, "Hey, can we take a picture?" So they took a picture of us around him, all wearing the Gaming Outsider branded shirts, and they actually posted it on their Facebook and social media stuff. So that was pretty cool. Although I got cut out of the picture. It was I think it was Jacob and Chris Owens, and CB and I got cut out of the picture, which is fine. But the Owens definitely like to rub that one in a little bit. So, but it was a good time. We got to see. I actually purchased very little since my NES.
I was wondering what the point of view at conventions was now that your NES collection is complete. Because I think most collectors would be like, "Well, what do I collect now?" But you seem so relieved by completing your collection.
Well, I mean, especially if I'm going to be done DJing, I don't have any excess income coming in to pay for that kind of stuff. So I do have a little bit of leftover money. So I was on the hunt for a copy of Zelda's Adventure, which is a really terrible CDI Phillips game.
Definitely.
But I'm missing the other. I have the other two, and I'm missing Zelda's Adventure. And I asked every vendor I came across,
and every vendor had the same look on their face: pained,
yeah.
disgusted. Why would you even ask?
Pretty much, like I have that, man. It's kind of crazy. We did see a box copy of Stadium Events that had a price tag of $55,000 on it. And CB was holding it. Like, the guy let him look at it, and you could see the guy was genuinely nervous about somebody handling it, because it was kind of crazy.
If I were CB's wife, I would be genuinely nervous about CB holding it as well.
Yeah, right. Like, if he does anything to it, it's done. But
he doesn't have the best restraint, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
purchasing things.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Gotcha. We also saw several of the vendors that were at our last R2V2, so it was really cool to kind of catch up with them. And they were immediately like, "When are you doing it again? We're ready to come back." Gave them the date, and they put it on their calendar and said, "We will be there 100%." So that was a really cool feeling too. So, Jake, did you see anything interesting of note that you wanted to share with everybody
at the convention?
Yeah,
not too much. Selling the video games, that stuff. There was the 6 foot tall dice tower was a little interesting, to say the least. I was frightened about how long it would take normal dice to roll down that thing, but it didn't look like it was made for small dice. The opening had to have at least been 6 inches.
Yeah,
so
it was.
I'm gonna roll crazy. 100 die at the same time.
It was like 3D printed in like small pieces that were all like put together, and literally 6 feet tall. It was kind of cool.
I think he said it took like 600 printing hours to make that.
That's just insane. I can't imagine how heavy that thing is either. I know the PLC is not super.
I hope it comes apart.
Yeah, right. I did get a chance to play a couple new pinball tables, which I know a lot of people aren't interested in, but the new Jaws table was really interesting. I liked it. But the one that really stood out to me was there's a brand new Princess Bride table, which is awesome. You know how like, all the tables are going like LCD screens in the backdrop now, where it's just got like clips from the movie playing and whatnot. This one actually has the entire field is a LCD screen. Oh. So the ball is running across an LCD screen.
That isn't distracting?
No, not really, because I mean, while you're playing, it's not too bad. But they'll actually play some of the scenes, and like when there's down moments in the game. So, but it's actually kind of cool because I'm used to looking up at the marquee in order to see like the instructions of what I need to do next, and it was kind of nice having it down in the playing field, so I wasn't distracted to look up at the top. So it was
how many times did the table say inconceivable?
At least twice for me, but that was because I was actually doing kind of well. I was doing pretty well at the game. I felt bad because it was the longest line I stood in outside of getting into the convention, and there was a massive line of people behind me, waiting for their turn, and here I am taking more time than everybody else to play because I was just getting lucky with my gameplay. So it was interesting. So
yeah, it's okay. You can just say you're better than everybody else at the pinball table.
No, not at all. Not at all. But that was really great, and I had a lot of fun. We actually met a couple developers as well. Talked to them about possibly coming to R2V2 and maybe even guesting on the show to talk about their games. The museum was impressive. They had like a video game museum, just rows upon rows upon rows of playable consoles that some I've never even heard of. I actually meant to take a screenshot, Zach. They had I can't remember which console it was. I know it's been on multiple, but they had Outlaw playing on one of the classic consoles.
They had Atari Classic.
Yeah, pretty great. So.
Not only that, not only were the games set up there too, but the individual like empty spaces had stands of information. Whether it was like information on people who created video games or what game came out or what system came out at what time. Just droves and droves of information going on out there.
Yeah, they actually even had like a board that showed like the history of cartridge based games, starting with the very first cartridge, which was more or less just like a card almost, like the card that's inside of a cartridge. Like that was what they used first before they started protecting them with the plastic shells, and then just kind of went through every console all the way up to what was the last one? Was Genesis? in them. Genesis and Super Nintendo were the last cartridge.
Yeah.
No, I guess N64. And on little descriptions of
Wouldn't the
everything
Switch
underneath.
be the last cartridge?
Well, yeah, you're probably right, but
or is that considered something different because it's so tiny?
It's almost like a micro SD card. Yeah.
Oh, that's exactly what it is.
The Vita is the same kind of deal.
Yeah.
But
yeah, you're probably right though.
Oh, what
Anywho,
the PSP went back to a covered disc.
I remember that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's like the little white case that you can still see the disc through it. But
right.
I never had a Vita, but
Well, it's PSP.
Didn't you see a Vita for sale?
Yes.
Jacob, and you were like, I can't believe they're that much now.
It was $1,200.
Was it?
And it wasn't even.
Was it new and
no,
sealed, or?
No.
I don't think that's a normal price.
I didn't look it up, but I was kind of surprised.
I would hope that's not a normal price. I hurt myself.
Maybe it was like a variant of some kind. I don't know.
Yeah, the one you don't have.
Yeah, right.
I was gonna say I got an Assassin's Creed Vita. Surely that if this is what they're going for, look into this.
We didn't look closely enough, unfortunately, but it was kind of weird being there and not just being on the hunt for carts. Like I'm so used to going to every table and just immediately going for the NES section and just looking to see if there's anything on my list that I'm missing. And instead, I was just going up and looking for a CDI Philips game that nobody had. I think I saw 3 CDI Philips games at all. So it was.
Was it one of them educational?
I think 2 of them were actually. Yeah. Like I don't need those, man. I don't even have the console. I just want it for the Zelda collection. But it was kind of nice. It actually gave me my lead in to talk to the vendors about going into salesman mode basically instead of just coming up with a cold thing. I actually had something legitimate that I wanted. And when they didn't, went into my spiel and made some good contact.
He was being a door-to-door salesman.
How many tickets did you end up selling?
That's a reference people won't get if they haven't been listening for a long time.
I was gonna say, unless they're very ingrained in us.
Yeah. Long story short, we were on the news promoting R2V2, and I said, I meant to say you can purchase tickets at Disc Replay, and something else came out instead on live news, and they didn't cut it. So I don't think that video exists anymore, but I really wish it did so I could show everybody. I had people texting me, did you just say that on the news?
Well, I'll never forget it, buddy.
Yeah. Anyway, 2 other quick updates. Our March Madness bracket for 6th gen platformers and before is done. And the winner of the entire thing, it should come as no surprise. I kind of expected it from the very beginning, is Super Mario World.
Crap.
Woo!
And I know Zack is
nonsense, utter nonsense. Rigged as always, I would say. No doubt. If
it were rigged, then Sonic would have beat Mario.
No, that would have been a fair and honest poll. Isn't this how it works, right? Voting. If the other side wins, it's collusion.
Man, I was going to make a political joke, and I'm not going to. That's how much I've grown up as a person, man.
Yes, Russia wasn't involved in all.
Dude, yeah, that's right. Russia made Mario win.
There you go.
Heard it here first.
Italy.
I'm looking forward to that being a thing each year, though. I thought what he did was really cool, and what Kevin put all this together. And we've already been in discussions for what we would do next year. We were talking RPGs, we were talking consoles, we were talking, I don't know, there's tons and tons of possibilities. So I could see this thing being a continuous thing as we go through the years, depending on how long this podcast lasts.
I couldn't see consoles. There's too many unnamed consoles out there that would no one had ever heard of.
Yeah, 32 consoles is a little bit difficult to come up with. But, maybe, I don't know, maybe video game characters.
You could fish up 32 consoles. Yeah, characters would be fun.
Or villains, or I mean, there's just the possibilities are endless.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got to move on. Jacob, I want to talk to you since you are our special. When I say special guest, you're part of the team, man.
Hey.
Anything you've been catching up on lately?
Well, I had to hurt myself, and I bought TerraTech Worlds. If you don't know what TerraTech is, it's basically an open world Legos game where you build tanks and go around and shoot other tanks to build up resources to make a base and get stronger. It's nothing too fancy or anything to write home about, but that's just what I've been wasting my time on. I don't really have anything else going on. Well,
PC, I assume.
yeah, my kids wanted to really hurt me, and they got me back into Warframe. So I've been beating my head against a wall on that. My one kid is grinding for strictly materials in the game, and the other kid is grinding for high level materials to sell to other people to get in-game currency to buy us stuff. And the whole thing is giving me a headache because it's just a checklist game. I have to do this, and then I have to do this, and then I have to do this, and there's never ending to it.
You said this is Warframe you're talking about?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh boy. You got a whole mine going on over there. Children's mine.
Yeah. Well, my kids want to play it. The game just celebrated 11 years out there.
Wow.
And I've been playing for 7, and I still feel like I'm not even halfway done with the game.
I only played for a couple months and felt overwhelmed. I can't imagine.
It's just never ending. They just keep, new things happen, new things come out. They just released another new Warframe with a whole another list of shenanigans to go down and do and explore and whatever. You get those people who've been playing for years who, destroy it in a couple of hours and then they're done again and they still play the game. And then you got people like me who are still trying to catch up from 14 updates ago.
Are you into like the story in the world at all, or is it just all about the checklist gameplay for you?
I like the story. It's interesting at some points. At some levels, it's not interesting. But it seems to just the story just keeps getting deeper and longer and deeper and longer the more that it goes. And hey, don't do that with the eyes. I see you. You can't see me, but I can see you. Anyway, but yeah, it's just
unfair advantage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember Warframe had a pretty cool twist, I thought, in its first few-ish hours.
Yeah. It's a good... It goes away after a little while, but it takes a long time to get it to go away. And so I'm still working my way through the twist.
Okay.
It's just a grind.
And I have no idea what that means, but hey.
Sky, you don't want to check out Warframe? You got
I don't even know...
or 11 years worth of updates to catch up on.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Is it... I don't even... genuinely know what kind of game it is. Is it a shooter?
It's a third-person shooter.
Third-person shooter?
Hack and slash shooter.
Yeah, it's a shooter, but you got cool sword attacks. It's very movement focused, I would say.
Yeah.
Like you're hopping around the environment a lot.
Interesting. Zach, what about you?
I beat Midnight Suns. I am free.
Satisfied?
Well, we'll probably talk more about this in the topic.
Oh, okay.
But I will say the ending was better than I thought it would be.
Okay, that's good to hear. I'm intrigued to hear about that. But as for me, unfortunately, I don't have a Baldur's Gate 3 update for you this week. My partner in crime is out of town, so we did not get a chance to play this week. But I did get a couple. Go ahead.
You do know that game is single player, right?
I don't want to play it single player. It's so much fun to play with people, and I don't know. It's just I say this every time, but it's so much fun playing with Kevin because he's the perfect companion in terms of someone that has played before and holds your hand, but not too much.
I don't think me and Kevin are that close. I think he would just yell obscenities at me.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Did he need a vacation after Sonic 2 lost the March Madness pool?
That's probably what it is.
Yeah,
no, he's
I feel that
his son had a robotics competition that he had to go to in Wisconsin, so. That was that far. I did get a couple rounds of Balatro in. I got my 8th win.
I wish my dad ever believed in me. What were you saying about Balatro?
Wow.
I wish I had a dad.
Guys are bumming me out. I got third time. I got my 8th win, and the game's getting a little bit easier in terms of I feel like I'm starting to see the rewards because there's like achievements for getting hundreds of millions of chips in a single hand, and I've never even gotten 200,000 in a single hand, so I feel like I'm going to start unlocking more things. They're going to ramp that up. But that game just, I just love to just kind of sit back, chill, and relax and play that game. It would be my podcast game if I had a podcast to listen to because I listen to all of them during the week, so I run out. But love the game, and 22% completed that game, so I've got a long way to go.
It's spreading like a virus, man. I feel like more and more people I know are sucked into Balatro.
Have you still not tried giving it a shot?
I have not, no.
Oh man,
it's on my wish list.
Is it?
Yeah, but I've got
so
for
many
like
$12.
I've got so many little games to play over and over again
Yeah.
that I don't want to keep adding to it.
I've been tempted to pick it up on Switch. If I could take it with me and play, because that's an ideal mobile game. But I also know it's supposed to come to actual mobile phones sometime in the future, and I'd much rather play that on my phone than on the Switch, just in terms of pick up and play it whenever. But anyway, that's the games we've been catching up on. Let's now go ahead and jump into the week's news. If you're in the market for a new gaming chair, I've got a fantastic deal for you. We've partnered with eWin Racing, who produces the most comfortable gaming chair I've ever sat in. They've got them in sizes for all gamers, and the quality is simply incredible. As a listener of The Go, you can get 25% off your order if you use the promo code TGO at checkout when you visit ewinracing.com. You don't have to just take my word for it, however, as multiple members of our community have picked up a chair for themselves, and they love it just as much as I do. You won't be disappointed. eWin Racing, the best gaming chairs out there. A couple new trailers to talk about. A game called Eternal Strands on Xbox, PS5, and PC. No release date as of yet. Neo Sprint looks like a return to form in terms of Super Sprint, which is a game I used to play back in the day in the arcade. It's coming to Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, and PC in this summer. And lastly, Pinball FX has new tables coming on May 16th on all platforms. They are themed after Xena, Warrior Princess, Knight Rider, and Battlestar Galactica, so my ears perked up for sure, although I never watched a whole lot of Xena.
I had such a crush on Lucy Lawless.
I mean, I think we all did, even though I didn't watch it. But did you see Lucy Lawless in Eurotrip? In the movie Eurotrip?
Oh, yes. Wow. Mm-hmm.
That was a pretty fun scene. Can't talk about it here, but
she had a lot of fun scenes in Spartacus.
Did she? I didn't see that one. Also, a new Prince of Persia game is coming out this year already, even though we just got one. There's a new story trailer for Star Wars Outlaws coming this week. Telltale confirmed that The Wolf Among Us 2 is still in development, and Apple is now allowing emulation software on their devices. Jacob, you're kind of like a guest. What story would you like to talk about?
Thanks. Apple. This is weird to me because the whole Apple emulator software is almost unheard of because they're so proprietary in all of their things that they do, from their headphones to the power cords to how they make the phones themselves. It seems out of character for them to allow this software on their devices.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a caveat. I think let me read the quote here. It says, developers are responsible for all such software offered in your app, including ensuring that such software complies with these guidelines and all applicable laws. So who's going to make these apps? Like, are the people that own the games going to make them? Because when I hear emulation, I think people that just would like to download these games and play them wherever they want to, regardless of if they own them or not. I understand there's some legitimate emulation in terms of, you can emulate it if you own it, in terms of legality, but I don't really understand this. Do you guys?
With the legality, isn't even like you can rip your own files, but you can't download a file? Isn't that technically how it's legal anyway? So everybody's breaking the law.
Oh, yeah. If you're not, I don't know how to rip a cartridge game. Like, how do you do that? And what does that matter?
So is this just Apple being like, no, we totally allow emulation. What are you guys talking about?
Yeah, that's true.
But they're just going to be like, you do what you want, but we are not liable. You get yourself in trouble. We're, washing our hands of this kind of thing. I wonder if there's like some kind of thing you have to sign that says Apple is not liable if you get sued or something like that.
They allow third-party data on their stuff, but there's so much red tape that you can't actually put third-party data on there.
There you go. I don't know. But people have been doing this forever anyway, haven't they? Like, even though Apple doesn't allow it, I read that people have been like making software that looks like it's something else when in fact it's actually emulation software, and they were able to sneak it under the radar, so to speak. So,
maybe for a little bit, but
yeah, exactly. But I don't know. Those classic games I don't feel like I want to play on a phone anyway, unless I have a backbone controller, which I guess we saw Paul Hine at Midwest Gaming Classic this weekend, and he said that they make an adapter now, which is funny. Like, Backbone is already an adapter, to put your controller in to be able to play it. And I need an adapter for my adapter so that I can do it without taking the case out of my phone. Play. So
I don't just take your case off, man. I don't understand this. Hold up.
Eventually, we'll get to the point where when you do anything with your phone, it's just going to sound like a transformer.
That'd be pretty much.
Roll out.
Yeah, dude, it's hard to take that thing off carefully without breaking it and putting it back on, and then I always feel obligated to clean it because that's when you realize how dirty your phone actually is on the back. Like, how does all that stuff get in there if it's sealed tight? I don't get it.
I don't know, man. I find this is a difficult problem to relate to.
Yeah,
taking a case off takes 10 seconds. Putting it back on takes 40 seconds.
I got things to do, man.
What do you got to do? You're not DJing anymore.
That's a good point. Zach, what story do you want to talk about?
Well, gee, man, what do you think I want to talk about? Prince of Persia, baby.
Yeah.
What's going on over there at Ubisoft?
That's kind of quick, isn't it?
I feel like this might be dangerously quick. But I guess it is early access, right? So it's not technically a full release.
Right. And they said this year, but come on. When's the last time a game came out on time?
I could believe it would enter early access this year.
Yeah, maybe.
No, they said
it's called.
They made a comment about having or wanting it released this year, but then they have no future ID. Like, it doesn't go past this year. Like, it ends.
Oh.
So
What do you mean?
Either it comes out this year, or they're just not prepared for it not to come out this year.
Oh.
So
interesting. You mean not to come out of early access, or even that to not come out?
Even that to come out.
Oh. Okay.
And even then
the developer?
Yeah. And even then they don't
that.
have any they have no plans for ports yet. Or at least there's no information on what ports are going to be getting this game other than computer.
That's
right.
interesting.
Well, it seems like a safe assumption that it's coming to consoles.
I would assume so.
I would hope so, but there's no information out there yet about it.
No, actually, yeah, no, you're right. I mean, technically, there's no information about this game out there. This is all just rumors.
Yeah.
So,
everything rumors are news now, man.
Yeah,
it's coming out. It's coming out this year, but there's no release date.
You'll notice in the show notes there are no mention of a certain franchise supposedly guaranteed to be announced by a certain company in June, because a certain somebody claimed it as fact. And yeah, anyway, that's not on the show notes.
That person also gave themselves an out in the very fact that they shared. Anyway,
yeah,
it's supposedly called The Rogue Prince of Persia, which is a terrible title. And it's coming from the Dead Cells DLC people.
Well, it's the people that did the DLC, which is actually a splintered.
It's a Dead Cells DLC people.
No, I know. I just think it's important distinction. Like, they didn't build Dead Cells from the ground up. They took that engine or took that blueprint and made some DLC. I'm not knocking them. I'm just.
Would that mean that Evil Empire, the developer here, did the Castlevania DLC everybody loves?
I would assume so. Which I didn't play that one, and I love Dead Cells. So I don't know why I didn't play that one. But
and what's wrong with the name?
It's just goofy. The Rogue Prince of Persia. So what is this guy? He's a prince of like the underground. Who is this?
No,
fella?
it's the game Prince of Persia. That's Rogue.
Yeah, who is he a rogue from? It's just telling me
not
the
genre.
Character.
It's the game.
I understand they're trying to squeeze the genre name in there, but I'm saying the title Prince of Persia refers to a person. So who's the rogue prince? What's he doing?
There should be quotes.
Is he just roguish? Is it just because he's voiced by Nolan North, so he's a rogue?
Yes.
Is he voiced by Nolan North?
No, Nolan North has a history of, voicing Han Solo type rogue characters.
Gotcha. Okay. I was like, man, that's something I missed in the article.
Jacob got it. Yeah, but it's going to be a roguelike. That's the big thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I like rogues. You know that, but I don't know if I like that in Prince of Persia, especially after coming off of The Lost Crown, which was...
It's a franchise known for its precision platforming and careful level design. It seems hard to replicate that in a roguelike.
Yeah, I mean, they pulled it off some in Dead Cells, but it's that game is more about getting gear on your runs. You know what I mean? And working your way to a final boss. And I mean, I guess you could pull the Sands of Time type of thing where when you die, oh, that's not how it went. Let me go back and retell the story.
Sure.
That's going to be your way that you're going to reset each time you die. So it makes sense in that realm, but
the whole live, die, repeat nonsense. Correct. Yeah, I love that.
But I love that nonsense.
Yeah, that's what it is.
No, I mean, just after the Lost Crown, I just feel like I want more of that. You know what I mean? I want the gear gated 2D, upgrading and exploring and I don't know.
Play Assassin's Creed.
If they weren't 90 hours long.
That's not the same thing at all.
Yeah, of course not.
The assumption is that the game is going to be announced at the Triple I Interactive Showcase on April 10th, which is an indie game event. I have never heard of that event, and I don't know. So I love how every story that we've got this week, I don't know if it's a slow news week, but every story is like, the assumption is, or we believe this is the...
Nothing it's like is you said, confirmed. Rumors are reporting now for some reason.
Dude, I looked. I tried.
Triple I, did that replace E3?
Triple I. It's actually like, the exact same thing. They just put a different name on 3 different letters. Anyway. Boy, I don't know which story I want to talk about. You guys talked about the 2 I was most interested in talking about. So and nobody wants to hear me talk about pinball. And the Star Wars Outlaws trailer coming is like news about news.
Yeah, so weird.
So I guess all that's left really is Telltale confirming The Wolf Among Us 2. If you remember, that game was announced back in 2019 at the Game Awards, and we haven't really heard anything about it up until this week when Telltale basically said, yeah, it's still happening, guys, because people have been kind of assuming that it's been quietly put to bed because there's been a whole bunch of unfortunate things happening between Telltale and Deck 9, who was working on the pre-production script before they were pulled from the project due to the issues. And I don't want to get into those issues on a show like this, but hey,
I don't know what the issues are.
I mean that was more me trying to cover myself for not understanding it well enough. There's been allegations and I don't know. Whenever I read stuff like that, I tend to not want to read more because I no matter how you feel about things like that, if you believe people, if you don't believe people, no matter how you feel, you're wrong. So
right. Well, no one ever actually gives all the information in one place, right? You got to go to 6 different sites because everybody's trying to spin it their way.
Exactly. Yeah. So journalism, man.
Sure.
That's everything's written 5 different ways.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, kind of a weak news week. Nothing major, but hopefully things will pick up next week. Let's go ahead and move on very quickly. I want to remind everybody about how you can help the Gaming Outsider. If you were listening to the show and you like what you do, maybe you want to give us a hand and help our listeners also possibly get some giveaways. We offer a Patreon where you can get the episode a day earlier than everybody else. Higher tiers will also give you bonus episodes, and we take all those funds. We do not pay ourselves. We put them towards cost of the show, as well as purchasing games to review, which we in turn give away to the community. That has to be physical copies, though. So I guess if you have an S or the digital only PS5, you may have some issues there. But we do try our best to spread that out between PS5, Xbox, PC, and Switch as much as possible. We got some episodes that are available for you right now. Actually, by the time you hear this show, fingers crossed, it should be up as soon as we're done here. Zach and I are sitting down with Brandon Smith to finally record our Final Fantasy VII spoiler cast, so you guys can finally rest at ease that we're done talking about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Jacob, I know you
finally.
Well, until the Game of the Year episode.
Yeah. Well, hey, that's fine.
I have to relive this.
Cloud's that's cool.
That is pretty cool. Sephiroth is cooler. Anyway, upcoming episodes as well. Kevin and I are working on a trade-off episode for Paper Mario N64 and Evolution: The World of Sacred Device on Dreamcast. I got to talk to CB about borrowing his Dreamcast and that game so I can start on that. And then our Break the Seal. I've got 2 this week, also complete Sands of Time. Zach, have you started The Lone Ranger yet?
Have you started back up on the Sands of Time?
That's a no.
I had a game I had to review that I got a review code for, so I had to play through that first.
We're holding each other hostage, Jacob. That's what's going on.
Who knows?
So one of us has to blink first, and then you'll get on it. Is what you're saying?
That's right. Yeah.
What I'll do? How about I just
chicken?
send you? Yeah. What I should have done is I should have picked up an NES at Midwest Gaming Classic and just sent it to you, so you could just play your actual copy.
Then I would have had no excuses. Yeah.
I have one sitting up here, in a box with the zapper and everything, so you could get the full experience. Maybe I'll just send that to you. Maybe I'll bring it with me to Portland.
How many NESs do you have?
2. I mean, I have one that I use to play with, and then I have one that I found a box copy somewhere for next to nothing, and I was like, I don't have a box copy of NES, so now I do. Got the styrofoam and everything.
That's crazy.
Shape, but
You opened it?
no, it was open. It was a. I mean, could you imagine finding a sealed copy of an NES nowadays? That would be amazing. I'd be an idiot.
I thought that you refer to consoles as copies.
No.
Oh, sorry. What did I say?
I-
Sealed.
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't even know what I'd say, but
I have no idea. I've never heard anybody refer to it like, yeah, that's my copy of the PlayStation 2.
oh, there you go.
Just never heard that before.
Well, anyway, if any of those episodes sound intriguing to you, or you'd like to just help us out, head over to patreon.com/thegocast. We really do appreciate the help. And we're going to now jump into the games that we've actually been playing, the new ones. All right, Zach, I promise I actually watched the trailers for the new games this week. What's coming out in the horizon?
Hey, man, you don't have. Okay.
No, you're going to put in the work. I'm going to do it.
Outer Terror shooter comes to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series consoles, Xbox One, April 12th. Perish, a first-person co-op shooter coming to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series consoles, and Xbox One, April 15th. The beloved Dave the Diver finally makes its way over to PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4 on April 16th. Xbox exclusive Grounded is no longer that way because it's on PS5, PS4, and Switch as of April 16th. Harold Halibut is a stop-motion animated video game coming to PS5, Xbox Series consoles, and PC April 16th. Cinematic platformer Planet of Lana coming to PS5, PS4, and Switch April 16th. Rose and Camellia Collection, which, as I can figure out, is a slap-fighting video game. Coming to Switch on April 16th. It's like 5 games in that collection of women slapping each other. And then first-person co-op shooter Scare Ritual comes to PS5, Xbox Series consoles, and PC April 18th. Scott, which games have your intrigue?
Well, I'm not going to replay it, but if anybody out there does not have a Switch or PC and has missed out on Dave the Diver, please play that game. It's great. I don't have a desire to play through it again unless I'm earning achievements, but so I'll have to wait for the inevitable Xbox version. But play Dave the Diver; it's awesome. But Perish looks when you start that up, it looks like a boomer shooter with really with not Doom graphics, like original Doom graphics. And there's something cool about a shooter in a setting like that where I don't even know if it's like a fantasy world, but you have a shotgun. Like there's something about that looks really intriguing to me. And Planet of Lana, I think, also looks really cool. It looks like a more cinematic Limbo style game. I'm honestly not sure what grabbed me more about this game, the game itself or the accolades attached to it. Lots of 9.5s, lots of 9s. Just everyone just saying it's an astounding game. So I'm intrigued. But those are the 2 I got my eye on.
What about you, Jacob? Any of these games screaming out to you?
You're going to finally tell me that I can play Grounded without an Xbox account? Yes.
No.
No. Perish looked good.
Shots fired at the Xbox, huh?
Yeah, a little bit. Well, because I have Steam and it's on there, but even to play it on there, you need an Xbox account. You need to have
Really?
Yeah. To go online or whatever, you need to have the account for them. So me and my wife had bought it, sat down, went to play it, couldn't play together, and we just refunded it. And so now that's on PS5. Let's go.
That's just insane to me. Why would you have to have an Xbox? Because it's a Microsoft property.
Yes.
Is that simple? Okay.
Yep.
Oh. Well, that seems like a you game for sure. So I'm glad that you finally get to play that one the way you want to.
Perish looks fun though.
Doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Although he did have an automatic double barrel shotgun with unlimited ammo. So
pretty
That's
cool.
interesting. Yeah.
What was the game that had like a 4-barreled shotgun? Do you remember that one? It was like just like straight across. Was that like one of the Bioshocks?
Oh, my. I don't know.
Or was it Doom?
Probably Doom. Sounds like a Doom thing to do.
Or a Borderlands thing, maybe?
Yeah.
Maybe Borderlands. That's probably right.
I was going to say, there was Turok had a shotgun that you could pump over and over and over again and load in more shells. And when you finally fired it, you like shot 6 or 7 shells at once.
Oh, that's cool.
Turok is so cool.
Yeah, dude. I need to go back, and that first level in Turok 2 is so long. I was like, did I just play the entire game? Yes, it's kind of nuts. What about you, Zach? Anything from this list stand out?
Yeah, I'm with you guys. Parish, I think, looks really cool.
Yeah. I haven't seen anything on it until you posted this either. So
I say, what a fun looking co-op shooter that we'll never play together.
come on, man. Someday our hours will line up.
That's true.
When maybe I should just quit my job and get a third shift
There you
job,
go,
and
dude.
then
Wouldn't that be cool?
yeah,
You move out to Portland, we can work at the warehouse together. Do a little Dark Horse action. Be great.
Oh man, that would actually sound kind of cool. Someday.
Yeah, I think Parish looks cool. I'll check out Dave the Diver one day. And now that it's on PlayStation, it's more likely.
There you go.
Got to get them trophies.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
But that's the games coming out this week. But what you've been playing, Scott? Minishoot Adventures, a Scott Clark looking video game. I think you've been talking this game's praises, right, throughout the week.
I have actually. I liked it so much. Jacob was over at my house on Thursday. We were getting together for D&D, and I said, "Dude, you got to try this game." So he's played a little bit of it. I'm not sure if I sold him on it enough to buy a copy, but I sold Nate on it. He said he liked it so much he was going to buy it when he got home. So, yeah, calling this. Go ahead.
I was going to say it's to me. So it looks like it was Zelda, but a twin stick shooter.
That's exactly
accurate?
what it is, man. That's exactly what it is.
Sounds pretty cool.
It is so good, man. And what's crazy, I put this in my review. I'm not a twin stick. I like twin stick shooters, but I'm not a bullet hell guy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like CB is trying to get me to play Ikaruga for years,
Well,
and
that's a whole different level of bullet hell.
Dude, this is pretty. I know that the binary thing on that one definitely ramps up the difficulty, but this is no joke bullet hell. Like it's kind of nuts how insane some of these arenas or boss battles get. But yeah, instead of playing as a little dude in a green tunic with a sword and a shield, you are playing as a sentient spaceship that goes around and can shoot a little cannon in any direction, and you're shooting other sentient ships instead of like. But it's funny, they're all like modeled after animals, so there's or weird spaceships. I think Jacob called them Doritos when he explained it the other day.
Yes.
Oh,
But dude,
is this a planet of Doritos farmers?
Well,
or something?
there's just one type of ship that they're like these little triangles that just
Looks
look
like
like
a Dorito.
Yeah.
Angry Doritos.
Yeah.
What flavor of Dorito would you assume that they are?
Cool
Probably
Ranch.
Cool Ranch because they were
Oh,
definitely blue.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm
But-
glad there's a consensus.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I'm glad you guys had the answer immediately, so it must be the obvious choice.
No, but this is straight up Zelda. Like you just start, you awaken. You know, you're in this trapped in this crystal, and this disembodied voice summons you to come help them, and apparently you have
Rescue
to.
the princess spaceship from the pig
Well,
prince or spaceship.
It's not even a spaceship. It's like some. I don't know, some deity or something that needs you to go, defeat the evil in these dungeons, to, allow him to awaken or something like. Like that's literally the only story you get is that little bit at the beginning, and then then it's just done. You're done with story until you beat the game and you see some more dialogue. It's just kind of crazy how that works. But yeah, you work your way around and you pick up weapons and you defeat these enemies. They give you experience when you defeat them, and when you level up that experience, don't bristle when I say this, Zach, but there is a skill tree.
Oh my god! Well, you had me until now.
Hang on. This skill tree is actually awesome because it is super simple. It is make your bullets fire faster, make your bullets fire farther, make your bullets more powerful, make your ship move faster. They're just very simple.
Well, how do you get a 2.5% increase to your critical hit rate?
There is a critical hit rate as well, but it's not Like they don't give you a number. It just says crit more
Increase
often.
Yeah.
It just says crit more often.
You
But
don't
the
have
really
to make the hard decision between 2.7 or a 2.3 increase.
correct.
Okay.
And the best part is you can remove your level ups and reallocate them anytime you want. I literally like started a boss fight and realized, you know what, I'd probably do a lot better if I had some range, and paused it, reallocated some of the power ups, and then beat the boss. Like you can do that mid boss. And what's even really cool is I don't think I remember a game doing this, but when you're fighting a boss, they've got phases, like or forms. This isn't my final form, and it actually gives you a little bit of
Frieza?
experience. You actually earn experience each time you beat one of the forms. So if you're struggling with the boss, just keep at it, and you're earning experience anyway, and eventually you'll level up. And the upgrades come at such a good pace, you never feel like you're grinding ever. It's just really great.
Maybe there'll be an
But-
update so you can have an upgrade to fly over water.
That was going to be something else I want to talk about. I don't know why you can't go over water when you're in a spaceship.
Your spaceship can't swim?
No, like you literally, like in Zelda, when you go into water or there's holes, like there's like a cliff, you can fall off the cliff and then it just goes, woo, 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 and then just like reappears. Like,
Yeah.
You're a spaceship. Now, spoiler warning, you get upgrades to fix that later on.
Fascinating.
But it's I don't care. It's still fun. The other funny part is in some of the dungeons,
He's just a very tired spaceship. He can't swim.
right? What's really funny is in some of the dungeons there are like rocks that you have to fly across, but it makes footstep noises when you cross the rock. It's like
All right, that sounds fun, dude. I don't know. That sounds fun.
dude, it is so good. This is the review will be posted by the time this episode comes on, but spoiler alert, it's going to be a 9.5.
Whoa.
So it is. The only thing I have wrong with this game is, and it's not even like an issue with the quality. It's just there's no dungeon map, and I don't know if that's just me being so used to playing Zelda. There's an overworld map, but once you go into a dungeon, there's no like way to keep track of everything, so you get a little mixed up. But the dungeons aren't as intricate as Zelda puzzles. It's more or less get from this next arena battle to take down these enemies and then move on and unlock something. But it's so good. I absolutely love this game. I could not put it down. I did beat it already. I did finish it. So
Is it a nice, respectable length then?
oh yeah, like somewhere between 8 to 12. I couldn't tell you exactly because I didn't look at I don't think there's a timer, but yeah, there's 4 dungeons and then a final dungeon. But there's still a ton to do. The overworld is great because it's gear gated. So when you get these new abilities, you're able to traverse like new sections of the map and then just find caches of experience or find battery extenders and find I don't know, these little red currencies that you can use to purchase to upgrade your weapons. Or you find other little spaceship critters that don't speak or anything. They just kind of emote and they go back to your like little home hub world and they offer you upgrades by turning in these little red discs. Again, none of it's explained and I don't care. It's an arcade game that is focusing on how fun the game is, and it's great. And it's made by like 2 dudes. It's crazy. The developer is Soul Game Studio, and my contact Jesus Fabre is the one that provided it to us. So thank you, Jesus. This game is exactly what I needed after coming off of a 70-hour RPG. That not that I didn't like that game, but this was just the perfect timing. It's such a great game. I really hope more people check this one out. Watch the trailer, and I guarantee you, within like 10 minutes of playing this game, you're going to be hooked. The exploration and discovery is just so satisfying.
And this is locked to PC for right now?
Yes. As of right now, it is locked to PC. I could not find any information about this coming to console. I will be shocked if this doesn't wind up on the Switch at some point.
Sure. Yeah, seems perfect for that.
Um,
I have to embezzle some Gaming Outsider funds and just get a Steam Deck.
there you go.
I'll get off
Yeah.
scot-free. Nobody ever gets prosecuted for embezzlement, right?
We have
Sure.
funds.
Yeah.
Yeah, or at the very least, I'll find a way into Scott's bank account, right?
There you go. Whatever.
Does that count
works.
that's embezzlement, right? That's
Well,
not theft.
I actually loaned my Steam Deck to CB because he's a massive bullet hell guy, So,
Mhm.
if you were here, I would just loan you my Steam Deck and you could play it. But
Or if you were here.
yeah, I didn't look to see if it's on Mac because I would imagine you would be able to play it on your MacBook.
I don't know about this MacBook is 11 years old.
Yeah,
I understand the game is not complex. It's just Discord updates no longer work on this.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
Well, we may have to remedy that for you in the near future. Too. But anyway,
There's
is.
a thousand reasons I need a Steam Deck, and it's just I got too much going on this year to afford one. That's
I
all.
hear you.
That's all.
Oh, the only other thing I would say I'm not a fan of is the title, Minishoot Adventures. Just not. I don't know. I feel like it could have been called something different. But
We have been over this like 5 times. There are plenty of other games that are good that have bad titles.
that's fair.
The Legend of Minishoot.
The Legend of Minishoot. I don't know. I haven't been this excited. Remember when that Zelda clone came out? What was it? 3D Pixel World or whatever. It was just straight up Zelda, but made out of
You talking
voxels.
3D Dot Game Heroes?
3D Dot Game Heroes. Thank you.
Wow, that's an old poll.
Dude, that game is great. It was
No, of course it is. Yeah.
I actually put that game in my Zelda collection. Like,
Wow.
it-
From the developers of Dark Souls.
serious? I didn't know that.
That's from Software game. Yeah.
Wow. That one's a little pricey game too. Do you still own it?
Yeah. Is it worth? It's worth money.
A little bit. I mean, it's not like
Okay.
Money?
put a mortgage in your
Yeah,
house or anything. But...
Well, hey man, hey chick, I'm trying to afford a Steam Deck over here. I'm just trying to figure out what I got to sell.
Oh, I see.
Gaming on an Apple in this economy?
Well, let's go ahead and move on to Zach's game. He has been playing Penny's Big Breakaway, which is a game I haven't played, but I've been trying to get Kevin to play because it just looks like straight up 3D Sonic. Is it?
Well, it's interesting you say that because it's. I've been trying to wrap my head around this, but the best way I can describe it is it feels like 2D Sonic but 3D.
Okay.
Because if you play 3D Sonic games, they're a little bit different than the old ones, right? Because they do tend to focus on speed a lot more, at least Sonic's levels, right? Because a lot of the games you'll play as Knuckles or Tails or Rouge the Bat or something that has different gameplay. When you're playing in Sonic, it's usually you're getting A to B as quick as you can, right?
Yeah.
But if you actually play the old 2D games, they weren't always like that, right? They actually did require platforming, and the idea was you had to be careful about going fast because there were so many hazards and stuff.
Yeah, and there was branching paths and stuff too.
Yes, and the branching paths, that's another great one because Penny's Big Breakaway has a lot of that too. So to me, it really does. It feels like the truest 2D Sonic to 3D transition that I can think of, really. And it's very good. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot harder than I thought.
Oh,
but Penny's Big Breakaway, you're playing as Penny and her yo-yo. That's your big tool in the game. And the general premise is you went to a talent show to show off your yo-yo skills to the king, but then your yo-yo is alive and it's like a dog, so it got really excited and accidentally tore off the king's pants. So now you've been sentenced to 10,000 years of prison time for exposing the king.
Oh.
And he sends his
Exposing
army of
the king.
yes, and now he sent you his army of penguin cops after you to arrest you. And that's the premise of the game.
This sounds kind of rad.
It's pretty cool setup. And then the game is it's a lot of very linear platforming. There's just not a lot of it's A to B. And you can do all these cool tricks with the yo-yo. You can use it kind of like a grappling hook, but at anywhere in the environment, so you can kind of swing from it to do like a quick little Spider-Man swing where you want. Or you can dash in the air by flicking it in a direction and then chasing yourself after it. So it has these different little techniques, and you can't do those infinitely, right? You get like one per jump or whatever, and that's how it limits you.
Mm-hmm.
And you can do these different tricks to get around. But the controls are really clever because you control the yo-yo with the right analog stick, basically. And you can use the face buttons if you want, but I highly recommend using the stick because that means you can go in any direction you want. And,
wait, you control the yo-yo, like in terms of like what direction it goes to?
Yeah, which way you're flicking it, or if you need to get something towards the environment, you can shoot it out in any direction. Because you can use face buttons if you want, but it's kind of limited in that it's mostly just going to go forward.
Uh-huh.
But if you get your head around using both sticks to control yourself and the yo-yo, you can start doing some pretty cool stuff with the platforming.
So are you jumping with a trigger then? Or a bumper?
No, just a jump X button.
I mean, I'm just trying to wrap my head around moving with the left stick, aiming a yo-yo with the right stick.
What he's saying is that you use X to jump in the air, and if you press square to use the yo-yo, it's going to throw it where you're looking versus actually like throwing it behind you with the stick.
Oh,
right.
I see.
So you can go in different directions. Yeah, and get around a lot better that way. Or if you hold the right stick out, that's how you do your little swing or whatever. And it's a lot more intuitive if you're using the stick. But yeah, you have to get airborne first. So your thumb has already left the jump button.
Gotcha.
If that was a concern.
Okay.
And then with the pull of the trigger, you can ride on your yo-yo, but it's basically just Sonic Spin Dash. So if you have any familiarity with that, it's all about keeping your momentum up and stuff like that. Yeah.
I feel a little deceived about this because I thought this was like someone getting ahead in life and it's someone escaping from prison. Like,
yeah, you're on the run for sure.
Like, what's happening?
I guess the big breakaway is you breaking away from the authorities, man.
Right.
Yeah, I'm with Jacob. I thought it was like, all right, her big adventure, her big, finally making it or something like that. But no, she's escaping from prison.
Rightfully, I mean, look, it's not her fault the yo-yo bit the pants off the king, all right? And I think 10,000 years is a little excessive.
Little. Yeah.
She had just won the talent show.
You don't know how long they live.
That's true. Yeah, I don't know what creature Penny is.
I was going to ask, what kind of animal is Penny?
I mean, she looks somewhat humanoid, but she's got this wacky hat on with the big giant points, which is what you're seeing if you look at the character.
Mm-hmm.
But she takes that off at the end of each level to give a bow for her excellent performance.
Oh,
yeah. But the penguins are cool because they make sure you're constantly moving. Because the penguins can latch onto you and they'll slow you down, and you'll have the yo-yo tricks to get them off of you. But if too many of them grab you, you get to go to prison. So you don't want that.
Busted.
Yeah, you don't want to get thrown into the clinker.
It just sounds like a game that's going to just put a smile on your face while you're playing it, but also being difficult.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say it is that unless you're because each level has different little sub objectives you can do, which is like either 3 collectibles or just 3 like kind of weird side quest things.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're trying to do all that, the game can be pretty tough because it does require you to do some fancy platforming or some really quick stuff, and you might have an objective to like get a towel across. You're at a resort and you get the towels from one guy to another. But they need to stay dry the whole time, so you got to make sure you don't touch water the whole time.
Oh, that's interesting.
And that includes flicking your yo-yo in the water.
Wow. So is there any like hidden stuff like in like in the Mario games? There's hidden coins or whatever, or is it just pretty clear what you have to do to get all the objectives?
Yeah, the little side tasks. I call them side quests, but they're so quick and different that I don't know. It doesn't feel right. They're basically just in-depth collectibles. Those are generally on the main path, but I find that the other collectible, which is like I don't really know what they are. They're 3 little hexagon icons, but those are more hidden in each level.
Gotcha.
And the real objective, if you wanted to max out every stage, is to do yo-yo tricks whilst also moving quickly to get to the end of the level, to where you have a good score and a good time. That way you can max out your completion of that level, basically.
And you're playing this on PS5, right?
Of course, yeah.
Is it on anything else?
I think it's on everything.
Is
Xbox, Switch, PC, all that. And then the last thought, though, the boss fights are really clever.
Oh yeah?
I had a boss fight against a guy named Mr. Q. And his name Q, you learn, because his head is a cue ball. And in order to beat him, you have to knock him unconscious and then shoot his head into the corner pockets of a pool table.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
And that's just one example. But each boss fight is very clever and unique so far.
And I have to add this one to the list. I have to play this now.
I think you would dig it for sure. I think Kevin I think would definitely dig it.
Yeah. I think I've been mentioning it to him for a couple weeks now, and he's just like, too many games.
He would know what I mean by it feels like a 2D Sonic game, but 3D.
Sonic 3D?
Get it.
No, it's different.
Anywho, moving on. Scott, you've been playing Mighty Mage. Are you playing on the PC? Well, Steam Deck?
No, actually, this one I'm playing on PS5.
Oh, fancy.
That's just
I'm sorry to hear that, man. That must have been hard for you.
especially when I tell you the good news, because I have good news and I have bad news about Mighty Mage. The good news, I got my first platinum in a long time.
Oh.
Yeah, I got a platinum, but it took me about 45 minutes to get the platinum trophy for this game. This is, boy.
It's one of those, huh?
This feels like a game that you're just going to pay your $3 to go get your achievements or your trophies or whatever, because it is a run-based randomizer. See what I did there?
Oh, yeah.
You play. Here's the thing: is that I think the premise is really cool and has a lot of promise. It just doesn't do a whole lot with it. You play as a mage that you choose one of the 4 elements available to you: either fire, water, earth, or lightning. And that's just like your chosen weapon. It basically provides you a different list of upgrades that you can get after you beat each wave of enemies. And this is a wave based. Like there's 15 waves. You're in this tight room, and enemies come in through the doors. You take them down, clear the wave, and then they give you options of upgrades to pick, and then you just do that. First time I played, I got to around 13. And wasn't paying attention to my health, and I died. Then that was the last time I died, guys. I played through 4 more runs, 1 is each element, and got to wave 15. And the game flashes a screen that says, it's like one small paragraph that says, "Congratulations, you completed all the levels. You are now a master wizard. Thank you for playing." And then
Wait,
it just goes.
It's just the 15 waves?
Yeah. It's just the 15 waves, 4 times.
Oh.
And then the game is done.
Thank you so much for playing my game.
Yeah.
Have a platinum.
So, but the way the missed opportunity part I was talking about is you play as the mage, like I said. You move around with the left stick, but in order to attack, you have to hold the right trigger button, which brings up like a summoning circle around you. Kind of like, think like in Vampire Survivors when you had the... boy, I can't remember what they were now. The Bibles, I guess, maybe? Or no, the garlic. Kind of like that, but bigger, right? It's like a much wider circle. And whatever you have, whatever weapon you have, auto attacks the closest enemy. And you have up to 5 weapons as you go through the 15 waves. And they each have a different cooldown. So you're just holding down the button, and your weapons just fire off whenever.
You have to hold the button?
Yeah, you just hold the button down.
So why even have you hold the button then?
Right.
Because while you were attacking, the way you attack is, since you're a mage, you're holding open like a spell book and like summoning. Like you're like, like mouthing words or whatever and holding this book summon, so your character can no longer run. You move at a much slower pace. So you have to the trade-off is, cast these spells, and then when enemies get close, move out of the way. You have a dash to get out of the way as well too. But so you can't just constantly be attacking. You kind of, that's where I think like there's something here. It's just that this game, there's no growth. There's no real reward except for the built-in trophies and stuff. There's no in-game reward for doing anything in it. There's just absolutely no satisfaction in getting a one-page screen that says, "Congratulations, you're awesome," in 15 minutes of gameplay. It's just kind of nuts to me.
That's brutal.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
I mean, the upside is that it's like a free $4 game. So, if you're an achievement hunter, trophy hunter, this is going to be an easy 1,000 achievement points or an easy platinum. But I wanted to enjoy it. I thought the trailer looked like it would be fun and the idea of conjuring spells, but it is, I don't know, outside of the trophies. How long
did you play it?
Seriously, less than 45 minutes.
Oof.
I wasn't exaggerating. Like, I don't know. Just like, this could have been a phone game for $1 and people would have been upset. You know what I mean? Like, it's just. So yeah, unfortunately, Mighty Mage. No offense to the developers, AFIL Games, but I don't know. I think the price point makes sense for how little you're going to play here. But I think some people, it's not what I'm going to recommend, because it feels like a game that the developers of Vampire Survivors played and said, "I can do this better." You know what I mean? Instead of this game being something that is trying to capitalize on the success of Vampire Survivors and making something similar, it feels like the reverse has happened. That makes sense.
No, this to me, it definitely screams that Vampire Survivors game sure is popular on Xbox. It's not on PlayStation. What can we crank out as quick as possible to make some money
That's
on that?
probably a solid point too.
I was watching the trailer for Mighty Mage, and I thought you were going to be able to switch magics in the middle of it and pick stuff up and throw out different combinations of spells and stuff. And I got really into it.
Because they make such a big deal about you're going to pick 4 different elements. And I thought it was going to be like a rock, paper, scissors type thing. Like maybe the water element works really well against fire enemies or, something like that. And the upgrades, I didn't really even mention it. They don't matter. Like it truly doesn't. I felt like I was thinking about Zack while I was playing it when he talks about skill trees and like giving you the illusion of choice.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's what this game does. Like it goes back and forth between giving you upgrades like increasing your crit chance or increasing the power of your magic or increasing your speed. And then other ones it will let you choose between 3 different elemental upgrades for your magic, which will do like, I don't know, a fire hammer just appears out of nowhere, or if you have the earth element, it just stuff comes up out of the ground to attack the enemies. But you're not controlling any of it. You're doing all this magic by holding down one button, and you don't have any say where any of it goes. Which, for some people that might be a good thing, I guess, to not have a whole lot of having to do all this. But I just felt like I had little ownership of any of it, and in my last run I didn't even care what I took. I just picked whatever. I stopped reading the descriptions of the new weapon or the new magic upgrades, and just let it do it because it truly did not matter at all.
It feels like they were trying to give you a little bit more control over it, but by giving you that control, they added other things to the game that just took the control away.
Yeah.
And so, like Vampire Survivors, you're just kind of like moving around and just avoiding things while other things attack things. And this one just sounds like, you get a little dash, you get an attack, okay, but like everything else that's involved in it, there's nothing there for you.
Right. And I mean, at least in Vampire Survivors, you had a wide area. You could kind of explore and find things and discover. This is the same room, the exact same room with very limited space. And it's frustrating to even like move around because you could move in front of a door that an enemy could spawn out of when you're just trying to dodge an attack and you get hit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a little frustrating. I don't want to belabor a game. I don't like being the guy talking negatively about a game, but I don't recommend this one. I don't remember the last time I said that. I've had such a good run of games that have just been bangers for me so far this year, and this was my first. I'm probably gonna say don't unless you want the achievements. That's it. So. Moving on, let's go ahead and talk about Facebook. I mentioned it already, facebook.com/groups/the GoCast. You can join the group there or Discord, links in the show notes. If you get a chance, drop us a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to shows. We do appreciate it. And lastly, our website is thegamingoutsider.com. We've got written reviews there for Kudzu. It was a review I wrote on that Game Boy game that's coming to Switch. Open Roads by Alyssa, and Sean Coates' review of Star Wars Dark Forces Remastered is up. My written review of Minishoot Adventures is there as well as my review of Mighty Mage. Sorry, developers did not like that game more. With that, let's go ahead now and jump into our From the Outside In topic. This week's From the Outside In topic was actually Zack's idea. Kudos to him for coming up with this one. He wanted to talk about whether or not we've ever felt obligated to finish a game, even if it just wasn't working for us. Zack, I want to start with you. I know that.
I hope so.
I know that you and I can differ a lot in this area because you've mentioned in the past how you often feel compelled to complete a game, even if it's not grabbing you like you had hoped. I think you've even mentioned in the past that you don't even go on to start another game until you finish the one that you're on. Why is it so hard for you to put away a game, even if it's not becoming fun for you?
Now, I will say I am getting better about starting a different game, but but often the whole time I will feel guilty about not playing the other one.
Yeah,
I don't fully know what makes me this way. I know I don't like it, but I think it might be. You hear about how great a game is, right, from everybody else, and you play a few hours of it, and you're like, this sucks. But there's probably part of it where it's like, but no one else thinks it sucks. So what am I missing? Maybe if I just stick with it, maybe I'll see what they're seeing.
Yeah, the Final Fantasy 13 effect. When it gets to open world, it's really great.
Hey, see, there's a great example though. You put 40 hours into it, you get rewarded with some top tier video game.
I like that game up to that point too. So
I do too. I think it's great.
I think you and I are in the vast minority.
Yes, seemingly. So yeah, or maybe it's I guess it's I don't know. Do you ever stop a book that you start? I feel like I always have to finish every book I start too.
I have stopped and started Dark Tower multiple times. I'm down to the last 45 minutes, and I still can't bring myself to finish it. So, but no, I don't start another book until I finish it. Like,
yeah,
I was going to ask you the same question. Like, if you get halfway through a movie and like have to go somewhere or fall asleep, you like just I'll just start another one. I'll get back to that movie later.
If you fall asleep during a movie?
Well, remember, most of my movie watching is when I'm going to bed.
Night. Yeah, so. No, I feel I would have to finish it the next morning probably.
I wish I had time to.
or if I fell asleep on the couch and I wake up, I'm like, oh no, oh man, I got to get back to that movie. And then probably fall asleep again 10 minutes later.
Yeah. Rewind. Where did I leave off?
Yeah.
What's the last thing I remember before I passed out?
Who is this character?
Someday we're gonna have the technology where like my phone can sense that I'm asleep and it just stops when I'm watching, so I can pick up on it later. But we're not there yet.
I think I like to have the full context of a game. I don't know what if there's a huge twist at the end that somehow made it all worth it. I doubt it. I don't remember this happening, but surely it must have, right?
Think so.
Or you know what? I can think of one positive example, which is the God of War 2018 game, where there were definitely several points where I was like, I am not having fun with this game. But then when you look back at it as a whole, you're like, okay, I guess it was a pretty good story and a good time.
You just didn't enjoy the gameplay as much?
But there were so many times where, like that whole Dark Elf section where I'm like, well, what is the point of any of this?
Yeah, it was padding.
Yeah.
The one that comes to mind for me is when you reviewed Elex for us. I think it was your first review. And like, I keep wondering, like, did you feel compelled to finish that game? Like, did you think you were like part of your interview to be on the Gaming Outsider or something? I didn't.
Well, I think if you review a game, I am not in the camp that I think you need to see credits to review a game, but I think I hold myself to that standard though.
Right.
But there was definitely, 10 hours of Elex. I was like, I think I know what's going on with this game. But I only finished it because it was a review code. I think that game is so bad that I would have dropped it on my own. Because it was not good. I'm sure there's people that like it. I'm not one of them.
There was a Elex 2. Like,
right.
After hearing your review
true.
of that game, I was shocked that game came out. I think Brian Regos from our community actually really likes Elex 2. I don't know if he's played the original for sure, but so I don't know.
Maybe Elex 2 is phenomenal. I have no idea.
Right. But you were so soured on the first one. You're like, not happening again.
Well, part of me does want to check out the second one out of morbid curiosity.
I mean, that's got cheap now, but.
Right. Elex and I have a history, at this point.
Yeah. What about you, Jacob? Do you ever feel like you have to finish a game even if you're not enjoying it?
I'm almost the opposite because like I'll be playing games that are, there's moments in the games that suck you in. And you just feel like you have to, the house is burning down, the bomb is coming, whatever, and you're running through the level and you're trying to get through it as fast as possible because you need to get to the next area to stop whatever is coming. And I'll stop and take a break right there. I'll look at the scenery, I'll look at the stuff, and there's people in the background screaming at me, and you gotta get to you gotta stop, and I'm just looking at the the scenery and checking stuff out and looking. Unless there's a timer, then I'll finish off, but. Yeah, I'll there's lots of times that I'll stop in the middle of a huge moment and go and do something else for a little bit, whether it's in game or another game or, whatever, and come back maybe 1 or 2 days later and, pick up that spot and everyone's yelling at me still to get things done. And I'm like, oh, okay, fine. I guess I'll finish this off. But no, there's, I tend to get into modes where, especially with the Dark Souls series, I set a goal for myself. I want to do this. I want to be here. I want to be this strong. I want to be able to use this weapon or, whatever. And then I'll play the game nonstop until I get to that level. and then I feel like I've completed something, and
Hmm.
then I'll feel like I'll have nothing left to do, or there's nothing else that I want to do, and I'll stop playing.
That's
So,
interesting.
yeah.
So you just set a goal for yourself that is somewhere before rolling credits,
So
and
you
you're just
ruined
like,
the
I'm
game
good.
for yourself.
Oh, I'll
You've
beat.
ruined Dark Souls.
Oh, Dark Souls 3. I beat 4 times because I wanted something. I wanted something special in the game, and I didn't get it the first 3 times, and so the 4th time I made sure I got it, and then I was like, well, I guess that's everything. Where it is inversely with Elden Ring, I went through that game and checked every nook and cranny. I checked everything off the map. I did everything and platinumed the game even before the ending of the game, and was like, "Oh, you can't platinum it," but I got everything but the completion bonuses or the trophies. And I was like, "Well, I'm done. I've got everything. There's no need for me to replay this game."
That's interesting. I feel like we have to set a distinction between finishing a game and completing a game. Because, when we started this topic, I was thinking of it more like rolling credits, like getting through the story. I wasn't saying completing like all the achievements and do everything you can in the game. That's an interesting distinction that I didn't feel like we really went into. I rarely complete games. Back in the day when I was achievement hunting, or when I was younger and I was trying to stretch the life of a game because I didn't have them as readily available as I do now. You know what I mean?
That's like the Crash Bandicoot games. I really didn't feel, that I had to complete or roll credits in those games, but I enjoyed playing them. But getting to a certain point in that game, you're only doing the time trials then, and so the game's not technically 100% completed until the time trial is done. But
Right.
literally everything else is done. You've got the secret ending, you've got all the gems, you've got this, you've got that, and there's really nothing else for you to do other than run as fast as possible. And that's usually where I'll draw the line in most games.
Yeah, when there's something timed, I'm done. Minishoot Adventures has these little bonus areas where you're supposed to race a creature around like an obstacle course. And without the upgrades, it's impossible. It's just straight up impossible. And I would like spend all this time finding a secret area, only to go into this cave and realize it's one of those sections, and I just turn around and come right back out and I don't even try it anymore. So that was very, yeah, I'm with you on that one, Jacob. What are some examples? Oh wait, I guess I should answer.
Scott, what about you?
The biggest thing that compels me to complete a game is something that Zack already mentioned. If I'm given a code for it, like he said, maybe you don't have to roll credits in order to finish it, but it's like a personal thing for me. Like I feel like I have to. I feel like in order to write a fair review, it's more for the developer's sake. Like I want to give it a fair shake. I want to see everything that game has to offer. Not necessarily everything, but I want to see it through to its completion to be able to say I gave it the old college try, even if I didn't like it. Now, in the case of Mighty Mage, I platinumed that thing, so I'm good. But I didn't see anything else to see in that game, so I'm okay. Before I was reviewing games, though, I don't think it was an issue. It was more of a budget thing for me. Like once, when I just bought a game, I wanted to finish the game and felt obligated to, because in my mind, that was back when I was flipping games, right? I would buy a game and then flip it on eBay, use those funds to go towards the next one. I was very frugal. And in my mind, I had to do it quickly to get through the game so that it was still worth something. I could still get a decent amount of change for it. But even then, even if it took a long time, I still, I need to put this game down and be done with it before I move on to the next one. Just like you were mentioning, like a movie or a book, stop in the middle of it and start another one. I do sometimes, but
I want to add to that. In my childhood, I used to rent the games from Family Video or whatever.
Yeah.
And so you'd only have 3 days to do it. So I'm sitting here trying to put, 400 hours into 3 days, trying to get everything done as fast as possible. So it becomes less, I got to find every nook and cranny as I'm trying to get the game done. And, some of the games were like that. Other games were, Mom, re-rent the game for me. I'm not done with it.
Yeah. Or that dread you have when you have to return a cartridge game and you're just hoping and praying that no one deletes your save file.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was where you're just like, I got to figure out how to buy this game so I can have my own save file.
Yeah, I can't keep restarting.
I
Yeah.
have a Pokemon cartridge for a Game Boy somewhere in my house that's set aside that I'm not going to touch because I bought it from a resale store, and when I loaded it up, the game was 100% complete. Like, done. Like, he had caught, like, most of all of the Pokemon and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, do I really want to destroy somebody else's hard work? And maybe they don't care about it that much. Maybe that's why they sold the game, because they were just like, oh, done. And, they just tossed it to a side. And I got it and was like, this is impressive. Like, why would you get rid of something like this?
Or by chance you happen to like run into that individual serendipitously in the future.
Yeah.
And you can just be like, hey, I have your cartridge. You're like,
yeah.
So it's funny, I was thinking that this person died and you're preserving their memory.
Maybe.
there you go.
Are you Steve? Did you catch everything in blue? Oh, yeah, here it is. There it is.
The funny thing you said about renting is, in my parents' eyes when I was growing up, renting was a way to test the game to see if it was worth buying.
Yes.
That was their mentality, and that's was the purpose of it. I'm like, really? Is that how you feel about movies? Are you renting the movie to see if you should go buy it for yourself?
Yep.
No. So
that was always one of the questions my mom asked me. I would go buy a new game, and have you tried it yet? No. We're buying it for the first time. Why? How would I even try it? Like,
Mom, it says Splinter Cell in the box. I know it's good.
right?
yeah. Oh, that was another story I passed up on for the news this week was, a Splinter Cell game being teased by something.
Who cares? It'll never happen. I want to be retired before there's a new Splinter Cell.
Yeah, pretty much. Anyway, what are some examples of games that you have, that you finished that you really didn't enjoy finishing? I'm going to start with you, Jacob.
Oh. Finish that I really didn't enjoy. Skip me. Let me think.
Okay, Zach.
Well, the inspiration for this topic was Midnight Suns.
Yeah.
Because I really did get my fill of the fun, probably like 25-ish hours in. And it ended up taking me about 40 to beat it. So for like the last 15 hours, I'm just phoning it in. Because that was a game where, it's all about building your decks, right, for your card attacks. And once they introduce a second enemy faction like 20 hours in, these demons, and then that's it for the rest of the game. But once you've gotten your decks figured out, you can even crank it up to hard, and this game's still somewhat simple.
Right.
There's not a lot of tricks left for it to show you with the combat. And, and I think the combat is great. It was just like, without a compelling set of characters to drag you along, it got to be a bit much, because there should be pace breakers, right, of talking to your crew or whatever, but they're all so annoying that that I skipped all of that. So it was just nonstop combat really for me. That's a good one. Horizon Forbidden West, I think, has got to be the king of this for me, though.
And I'm trying to remember, that was the second one, right?
Oh, I'm sorry. Zero Dawn. Horizon Zero Dawn.
Oh, really?
I've never played Forbidden West. No, because I got 4 or 5 hours into Horizon Zero Dawn. I was like, I don't like this at all.
Wow.
But everyone was talking about it. This huge Game of the Year contender. People talking about incredible new franchise it is. And I was like, what is there? I got to see what everyone's talking about. And I never got into it for the remaining 40 or 50 hours of that game. Couldn't get into the care. You did the same thing?
Oh, yeah. I did not finish it, though. I gave it probably 4 or 5 hours and went, this is bad, and just threw it to the side.
Yeah, that was my thing. I never even thought it was okay. Like, I genuinely, I thought it was a bad video game.
Wow.
And I couldn't stand the characters. I know the lead actress, Ashley Birch, she's great in other things, but I thought her as Aloy was just so boring. Just kind of a real wet dud of a character for me. And all of the weird, how wacky the sci-fi gets, and I hear it gets even wackier in the sequel. I was just like, this
does.
It almost felt like the bridges. It was too many bridges too far. I just couldn't get into it, and the idea of fighting robot dinosaurs in a post-apocalyptic Earth sounds amazing, but I couldn't get into it. I thought the combat was so boring. just so lame. So I couldn't get into Horizon, and yet I beat it.
Okay.
For some reason.
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna like the second one, man, because I struggled. I struggled with the second one, to get through it. I mean, some of the story pulled me through. I think they do some interesting things, but it's still sci-fi ridiculous, like you're talking. So, yeah, part of me wants to just avoid the second one at this point. Don't start it because if you're gonna feel compelled, because that game is huge.
Right. Yeah. If of the Sony sequels, I definitely much prefer playing God of War Ragnarok.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever I get to that, I don't think Horizon's ever going to happen for me.
Yeah, and some of the fun stuff about Ragnarok already. Just
Oh yeah, it's true. But Dragon Age Inquisition is another one of these for me because I love Dragon Age 1 and 2, and I like the story of Dragon Age Inquisition a lot. But I thought the gameplay was like really, really a drag.
Mm-hmm.
And the exploration was so nothing. Just a nothing burger. And that was another example. Like, that game won Game of the Year at the Game Awards that year, and I was just so shocked by that because I just feel like it wasn't a very intriguing open world, but everyone's talking about how great it was. That was just. But at least the story ended on an excellent cliffhanger that they haven't followed up on in the past decade. That's cool. And then the last one I'll mention is Resident Evil 6.
Oh, you did finish that?
Oh yeah, it's clear 30 minutes into that game that it's not going to be a good time. But but I was playing co-op with a buddy. So by the end of it, it was just like, how bad can it get? And then Leon is punching a shark, and you're like, oh, it can get this bad. And it just keeps getting worse and worse, and just really terrible boss fights. But because I was in it with somebody, it's like we survived Resident Evil 6 together.
Yeah. So it was a true survival game.
Yes, yeah. And watching like Leon be all like a hurt puppy dog about Ada, or you're fighting weird giant T-Rexes in a Resident Evil game. You're like, what the hell is going on? And then for some reason, it's a Resident Evil game that's 30 hours long.
It was a 30-hour game?
Dude, it had 4 full campaigns.
I made it about an hour and a half into Resident Evil 6, and I gave up. This is why my backlog is as bad as it is, man. Like, because I give up more often than not, but I think a lot of it has to do with my FOMO. Like, I see something new and shiny, and I gotta go for it so I can be part of the thing. You know what I mean?
Those kind of games are no longer in my backlog. They're just gone.
They're just gone.
I was super excited for Resident Evil 6 after me and a buddy getting through Resident Evil 5, which is another game that I begrudgingly went through because towards the end of 5, it just becomes someone else is just screaming in your ear the entire time. And so me and a buddy got through 5. I played as the girl the entire time for, I don't know, whatever sad reason. But then I had to listen to his character yell Sheva the entire time.
Sheva, come on, Sheva, come on.
Because he would literally just run to the corners of doors. Sheva, let's go.
Well, tell your friend to stop hitting the button.
Right. Well, I mean, even the other way, if you're playing as Chris by yourself, Chris.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Stop. Yeah, but that was a good game. But yeah, I was super excited about 6. So me and the buddy, ran over to 6, picked it up, and got it back, and we're starting to play it, and we're having the buddy fun. Oh yeah, and then we're just kind of looked at each other like,
Did you think of any others, Jacob?
Yeah. Void Train. This is a smaller game on Steam, but it's kind of Raft. It's Raft set on a train in the void. There's these areas that you go through, and you kind of jump out into this weightless space and grab items, and there's creatures that are floating through the space that attack you and whatever, and you fend them off, and it's kind of steampunky. It's a really good design behind it, and me and my wife decided to play it, and we probably got I want to say maybe like 20-30 hours into the game.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, we're sitting down, and she looks at me and she goes, I really don't like the game. And I went, finally, somebody said it. I hate this game. Can we go play something else? She's like, I didn't know I was going to have to be the first one to say it. Like, I was just playing because I thought you were having a good time. I was playing, I thought you were having a good time. I was like, no, let's go find something else. Gee.
Took you guys 20 hours to get to there?
Oh yeah. Well, we both were playing for each other. We were trying to spend time with each other versus the game, and that was just not the place to do it.
What's that
and
like?
Warframe is definitely not the game to spend time with her because she hates the grind. And actually, the grind is coming up in the comments I saw, so we'll talk more about that.
But you guys love Diablo.
That's not a grind to her. She loves blowing things up. She plays mages in most games, and that's just because she likes to blow things to smithereens.
Nice.
So,
I got a couple. They're more recent examples, but Evil West. I know I praised that game.
Yeah,
I like
what?
that.
This is a real twist.
No, I liked the game, but it hit a difficulty spike for me because I was expecting more shooty and less melee. And
okay.
I just wanted more gears. And I really had to I actually dropped that game to easy to get through, and I was so relieved when I rolled credits on that one because there was something else I wanted to play, or I can't remember what it was. And I didn't even get it. I don't think I got. Did we get a review copy for that one? I don't remember.
I don't think so.
So I didn't really even. I wasn't having. If that's the case, I wasn't having the. It was provided to us. I feel compelled to finish it. I just
didn't. Aaron Peterson buy that for you?
I don't remember. Did he?
No. Maybe I'm misremembering.
I know he's playing it now, and
Yeah.
I'm shocked that he likes it because he hates melee games. But so that was a tough one. Another one, I know I got a review code for this one, and that is exactly why I finished it. But I did not want to. Was KO the Kangaroo? Remember that 3D platformer that
looked cute?
It looked great. Like it was going to be a N64 style platformer collectathon kind of thing. And I was cheering with excitement when I rolled credits on that one because I did not.
That brings up memories. Zool,
like the ZOOL.
Yeah, I enjoyed it for what it's worth, but I was so happy when that game was done because it was a review copy. And
I'm thinking of a different. I remember that was a PC game. I'm thinking Zool from like the NES days.
Yeah, that's what it was. That's what it was. It was the remake.
Okay.
Yeah, it was the remake of Zool. And I know the level changed, but the base level design never did. And so it was just running through 7-8 levels that were pretty much just reskinned. And it was bad.
Wow.
I liked it for what it was, but again, it was you collected stuff and then it was all timed and there was nothing there afterwards. So when I rolled credits, I was like, okay, cool, like go do something else. Now I have to write the review of this.
Yeah. That's rough.
Part.
That's always so rough.
I had one other one. Super Catboy. It was a platformer I played on my Steam Deck.
What?
You play as a cat that is a superhero, and it's really silly. All the enemies are dogs. Like I felt compelled.
I like the premise so far. That sounds adorable.
I liked it as well, but man, there were some platforming sections that drove me crazy. I felt compelled to finish that one for two reasons, even though I really didn't want to. One was I was provided a review copy, but also Grant has done some of the music in that game, and I did not. Just like I got to play this game. It makes no difference if I do or not, right? Like Grant's still getting paid. It's not like he's paid for how many people listen to all of his music in the game, but like I don't know. There's something about like if somebody I know is involved in the project, I want to see it through. So I guess I should have added that to my reasons, but those are the three I had on my list. I skip games so often, man. Like I feel like I've stopped playing games more than I have actually seen them through to completion just because of my. Ooh, what's this? A butterfly. That game looks awesome. I want to try that. I've gotten better after doing the show. I feel like I complete more games now, but at least reviewed games just because I feel like I should. I feel like I owe it to the person that sent that to me, or owe it to the developer that provided me a copy to see their game and see what they accomplished. But maybe that's me. Anyway, that is what we thought about this topic. Zach, was a great one. Let's go see what our community said. Over on Facebook, we'll start with Aaron Peterson. I was waiting for this response as soon as I posted it. I was not expecting him to respond with this comment within 19 seconds of me posting.
But you did know what his response would be.
I knew exactly what his response would be because he has told me this over and over again. Aaron said, nope, never, not once. As soon as I stop enjoying it, I'm done. And that's all he said.
So yeah, I wonder if he applies that same logic to TV shows or movies.
You said that, not me. I know he does apply that to TV shows because I know that he hates it when people say, well, wait till the second season, it gets good.
Yeah.
You know, he's like, no,
or I guess famously his relationship with Blacklist, I guess.
That's one, I mean, he had to.
No, I understand. He lost interest in that. You know. Anyway. Jumping over to Kyle Boggs. He says, BioShock 2. So it must have been in one of those last levels where you're required to put everything into one of those storage tubes to get after the mission. I did the mission, but the game glitched and I lost all my upgraded weapons, and I had to restart to finish it. I waited years to actually try and replay it and have flashbacks to that moment, but wanted to say I beat it. I'll never play it again, most likely.
I beat that game the weekend it came out. I was so excited for BioShock 2. So I remember very little of BioShock 2, honestly, because I played through it so quickly. But I remember really, really digging it. That was actually, I was still friends with this guy named Mike that I'm not friends with anymore. We literally took the day off work, and he came over here with his own TV, and we set up the TVs like in the room together and played through the game side by side together. Instead of pass the controller, it was just like, let's play together. He is much faster at going through games than I am, so I kept being like, I don't want to hear that spoiler. But yeah.
I remember BioShock 2. I remember my best friend's little brother really wanted the BioShock 2 like multiplayer trophies.
Okay.
So this is my memory with this game. I remember playing a lot of the multiplayer for him. And I remember it being actually pretty fun.
Never touched the multiplayer in BioShock 2. I was.
It's pretty fun.
I get it, but I was also kind of angry that it existed at the time.
I do understand that.
That was in the era where every game had to have a multiplayer mode.
Like Dead Space 2.
And I was just like kind of boycotting it, even though there was no way anybody could. I guess they could have tried to have us playing online, but I was like, no, BioShock is a single player game. It's got a great narrative. Don't take away from that. And yeah, they stopped it with BioShock Infinite.
I would so much rather have tacked on multiplayer than the stuff we get now.
What
$15 costumes and stuff.
Oh well,
add.
Yeah.
No good.
Noe Bushman says, Division 2 is one I gave up on. I still have the last 2 raids left before I get all the achievements. I feel that in my heart and soul, and so does my wife. It's one of the games that me and her sat through countless hours to get through and grind and get the legendaries and this and go do stuff. And the raids, this is up to a 4-player game, and the raids require 8 players. And so you have to play with either 8 people you know or however many randoms. And I hate randoms. I can't stand playing with other people because either they're just, they know way too much, or they know way too much more than they're supposed to know, or they know absolutely nothing. And I never feel like there's a happy medium. And so me and my wife have never done any of that stuff either. It's just me and her beating our heads against the wall. And they had released an idea that there was a Division Heartland coming out. And I was like, hey, they might have another Division game coming out. And she scowled at me and like, all right, maybe.
I want to give myself a pat on the back because Division 2 is a game I went into, I already mentally prepared myself. I was like, as soon as I'm not having fun anymore, I'm done. And I remember I really loved the shooting in that game and the all the cover-based tactics and all your little abilities. But as soon as I got to one mission where I was like, you got to do some stuff to get your gear score up to if you want to continue the story, I was like, you know what? I'm out.
Yep.
Done. Not interested in that. I just wanted to play a Tom Clancy shooter. Why you gotta get this stuff in my way?
I love Division 2. That was I think the first game I played with Joel, who I play with like almost every week now. We played through that together. I don't remember who else. I think it was he and I, and then we rotated other people in and out. Jacob, were you playing with us at that point?
No.
No, man. I didn't.
I must be nice to
complete
get invites.
Hey, you got invited to MGC this weekend.
Oh, okay.
This also might have been before I knew you.
And this very podcast you're
on. Yeah.
Right.
But what Noe's comment here is, again, kind of draws a line between finishing and completing, right? He's talking about like those last 2 achievements. Whenever it comes to a multiplayer game, I know I'm not going to complete it. I am not.
Right.
Like, remember those achievements in Gears that were like seriously 2.0?
Oh, and like 10,000 online kills or whatever.
But then like it would get like ridiculous. It was something like 100,000 or...
I was going to say, wasn't it 1,000 the first game, 10,000 the second, and then 100,000 in the third?
It might be.
Is that right?
It's just nuts. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to play those games that much online. You know,
I love going through
Vampire
my
Survivors.
trophies. Sorry. I love going through my trophies and seeing all the ones that I have platinums for. And then there's all the multiplayer games where I have 1%.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty much.
I remember I platinumed that Tomb Raider, the reboot, twice on PS3 and PS4, and I had to get max level multiplayer twice.
Ooh.
That was rough.
Yeah.
Not a good time.
I've done that one time. I did that with Titanfall Prestiged, and that's the only time I've ever done that in any game.
Wow.
Any multiplayer game. I really
like that multiplayer was fun, unlike the Tomb Raider multiplayer.
Yeah.
Titanfall's great. Titanfall 2, shout out. Great game.
I keep thinking about that game. I was actually talking to Jill about that. I want to replay that campaign because that campaign was so good.
Yeah. Exquisite.
Next comment comes from Brandon Smith, who says, Xenoblade Chronicles 1. I put over 100 hours into that game, and I think I only enjoyed the first 20. I just kept going because I love Xenogears and Xenosaga, and I kept hearing people talk about Xenosaga as if it's anything like them. It is not. That's that I feel a little bit there. I have the same relationship with Dead Space 3.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if I would have finished Dead Space 3 if it weren't for it being a Dead Space game. And I think I remember having the conversation with my buddy Mike where I said, well, I have to play it because it's Dead Space. And he's like, I'm sure the developers would love to hear you say that. That's what they're going for. And
I mean, that's definitely how I felt about Mass Effect 3.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was like halfway through that game, I was like, this is not good. But I will finish it. Dead Space 3 is so interesting because whenever there were human enemies, I definitely was like, what am I doing? But then you get back to the Necromorphs, I'm like, all right. And then the love triangle pops up, and I'm like, what is happening? Why is there a love triangle in this horror game?
Like, who has time?
Yeah, this is not the appropriate venue for this.
Right.
Brandon, I can relate. The Xenoblade Chronicles 1, I had fun for like 70 hours, and then you're so deep in that I was like, I will push past these last 30 or whatever. It is crazy. That game's like 100 hours for, a casual playthrough.
That's nuts to me.
At least it feels like.
I say that and I just finished Rebirth. Apparently I can play a 70-hour RPG.
Yeah,
so
that's true, yeah. Well, that was incredible. Come on.
Yeah. You want to hear about it, Jacob?
I got a lot of thoughts.
I've heard them. I've heard most of them.
Vincent's so dreamy.
I have a feeling Jacob's not going to listen to the spoiler cast.
No, I'm not.
I can't wait. Joel Selinsky writes in, not even a little bit. As soon as it stops being fun, I'm done with it. Starfield is the only game I've completed in a long time, and I'm not sure why, but it just worked for me. Usually games longer than 20, 30 hours can't hold my interest. Yeah, because they show you all their tricks already.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I get that.
And I can attest to this being a thing with Joel because he uninstalled Baldur's Gate 3.
Ooh.
Like, officially.
He didn't like that game, huh?
No, he did not.
Hey, he's in the minority.
I know.
That's why I think that's part of why I'm hesitant to start. I'm so worried about not liking it.
Yeah, I have kind of talked it up a little bit.
I want to like you and the entire industry.
Yeah, I know, but still.
Completed Starfield though. Interesting.
Yeah.
Not me. Hey, there you go. I didn't feel compelled to finish Starfield.
I didn't feel compelled to do 3 hours of Starfield.
Damn.
I know it, like a lot of people loved it. I think I wanted Fallout. I think I just want Fallout 5 at this point.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want from Bethesda. So
you have
I wanted the
76.
I wanted the game they pitched. Oh my god, come on, man. I just didn't feel like Starfield was the game I was sold. That's all.
No Man's Sky, first person.
Yeah. What was with all the loading screens? That's right.
Yeah.
That needs to be. Oh, it was talked about to death, I guess, but
Yeah.
I couldn't get over it.
Jacob?
I'm going to butcher your last name. I'm very sorry, David. Koenig?
Koenig.
Koenig? Okay. Koenig? Is that what you said?
Koenig.
David Koenig. Okay. I don't have much of a problem just giving up on a game. However, for some reason, I had to finish Final Fantasy VII Remake.
You can't escape.
I can't escape.
That's why he read this comment.
I had to finish Final Fantasy VII Remake. I hated that game, mainly for its insane tangent-filled narrative that drove me crazy, but it was a serious disdain. To this day, I have no idea how I finished it. Now that the second one is out, and there wasn't a chance on in hell, I was playing it. Yet I keep hearing how good it is.
Well, I got some bad news for you, David.
It is terrible.
It's great.
No.
It's great.
If you didn't like the
Terrible.
first one, I don't think you're gonna like the second one.
Though if his problem was narrative tangents, I do think there's a lot less of those.
Yeah, that's fair.
You know, there's no 3 or 4 hour break to tell a ghost story at the train yard.
No, but there is 3-4 hours of mini games that could probably have been removed.
That's what I said. If his problem was narrative tangents, then I don't think this game is a problem in the same way. There are plenty of tangents,
Just not narrative.
Exactly. There are plenty of card games and chocobo racing and all sorts of stuff. I'm thing where you have to drag the chickens by dragging their feed box across the entire town.
That drove me so crazy. Jacob, there's literally a mini game where you have to lure a chicken back to town by attaching a string to a metal can and literally dragging it.
I mean, that's not new.
So the chicken follows it, and then you have to be the perfect distance. You can't get too far away. You can't let it catch up to it. Dude, it was so annoying.
I've played GTA games like that. Follow the suspect, follow the guy, can't get too close, can't do
Assassin's Creed
tailing missions.
Oh man. So I've experienced the things that you guys have experienced, just I'm not playing Final Fantasy.
Yeah, that's fair. Zachary Herding, former student of mine, said, I played a Lego game and it was great, but I had to finish it because I can't sit at 33% done.
Yeah. You taught him well.
Apparently, I didn't teach him that. I'm with you. I feel like I was that way when I was a kid. When I was his age and I'm playing Castlevania Symphony of the Night and it shows you your percentage at the beginning, or in Super Mario World or Super Metroid, it shows you that percentage that you have completed. That was like your goal. That was, the game wasn't done until you did that.
You can finish a Lego game, but you can't finish your homework? Come on.
He was fine.
Well, finishing a Lego game actually means something.
Yeah,
it needs
graded. Math and reading.
Hey, man, you'll pass either way.
The scariest thing is when those old games where you would load them in and it would tell you your percentage that you had the game completed every time, like in the beginning. And so you're like, you don't know how far you are in game, but as soon as you load back into the game, then you know how far you are. And it's like, oh man.
Right. And a lot of those old games wouldn't even give you like a list of how to get 100%. So you're just like, well, what is the 2.5% I'm missing?
Right.
Yeah.
That was definitely frustrating. And especially before, we had the internet. You could just like kind of Google something really quick. Or even like, we talked about this in the past, but remember the feathers in Assassin's Creed 2?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm missing 1 or 2 feathers to have like a full 1,000 achievement points for that game, and I'm never going to get it.
We had to like actually print out a map or, you use it, go picture by picture in an article.
Yep.
To try to find all the feathers.
And not collect one by mistake.
And then you think you did it all, but I guess you missed one.
Yep.
Right? So your option is redo that entire map all over again.
Yep. And that's I actually did the map thing you're talking about. I bought I printed out one of the maps that shows where they are and had a screenshot of each one and checked them off as I went, and no dice. I missed one somewhere.
All 3 Jack and Daxter games are at like 97% because they want you to collect 1,000 precursor orbs throughout the entire game. And I get to like half of them completed or something. And it's like, I'm done bleeding my eyes staring at corners.
I did do it for Jack and Daxter 1, but I didn't have the heart to do it any other time.
All right, Zach, you're up.
Yeah, Sean Coates writes in, I don't feel this way about it now, but I remember not liking how mundane and unnecessarily detailed Red Dead Redemption 2's gameplay was at first glance. And I still felt compelled to see Arthur's story through to the end. However, when I realized it wasn't done and there was still a 5-ish hour epilogue and gave up. But then I went back to it recently and soon realized what the game is truly going for. I found its groove and became obsessed with it, eventually falling absolutely in love with the game and in all its cowboy simulator details. My story basically mirrors what Zack was describing.
Huh.
A familiar tale. only I did not finish it the first time.
No? Yeah, you got like halfway through first time. Did you start over when you did it?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, been too long.
Can't jump into a story 4 years later and know what the hell is going on.
Sure, you can.
No, honestly, that is why, with longer games, I just get obsessed with playing every free second I have because I'm so worried that I'm going to give up and say I'm going to come back to it, and then you come back to it and you just completely forget how to play it. So yeah, when I get into Rebirth, I did it in 2 weeks or something like that because I know if I put it down, I'm just never going to go back to it again, and I wanted to finish that game. Yeah.
Head over to Discord. Bill Gardner says, both Horizon games. I don't know why, but I like the story and couldn't stand the overall gameplay. They just dragged on too long. If it's a game I paid for, I usually feel obligated to complete it. I think it comes from the days of going to Toys R Us and grabbing a game slipped from only the coolest looking box art back of the box screens describing and then just having make the most of it out of the game because I didn't know when I was going to get another. It's another reason I like the game subscriptions. I feel less invested for me to complete it, so I'm not enjoying it. I can just stop playing it.
There is something relieving about just deleting a game off of your hardware, even if you haven't finished the game. Just by it's not my backlog anymore. It's just done. I could go re-download it if I want to, right? But
I mean, Bill's right. That is the nice thing about Game Pass. It's so much easier to just be like, you know what? There are other things to play on this.
Yep.
I don't need to put 40 more hours into Starfield.
Yeah. And it was taking up so much space. It's like a massive install. Right. I'm not just because I have it sitting there just in case I feel like dabbling in Starfield.
That's like Rebirth. I wanted to keep it on there just in case I felt like doing some stuff to get towards 100% or whatever.
Yeah.
But I just can't. It's over 150 gigabytes.
Yeah.
I just can't have it lingering on my hard drive.
I haven't deleted it yet, but because I'm I'm going to go do that stuff. No,
you use PlayStation a lot less. So.
Yeah. It'd be like if it were on my Xbox. On my Xbox, I'm hovering at 89% or something like that.
All right.
So yeah.
I have Skyrim downloaded on my PS5 just in case I want to play it.
Is that game that big though in terms of download? I know it's a big game, but I feel like the file size is not going to be more than 40 or 50 gig, is it?
Oh, it's not. No, it's not that big, but it's just one of those games that I have. I have Baldur's Gate on my computer. I actively play that one, but I had to delete 7 other games from my computer today to do an update for another game. And so I kind of hurt myself because there was a couple of games in there that I wanted on the desktop just for fun that I had to move because I wasn't moving Baldur's Gate because that's almost 200 gigs.
Insane.
Yeah, well, I mean, I do understand because Red Dead Redemption 2 is not getting deleted, even though it's 120 gigs or whatever. Because I will boot that up, for no reason.
Right.
It's my most played PlayStation game ever, according to my stats.
I don't know. That was a stat you could look up. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, you can now. It's kind of fun.
I wonder if that exists on Xbox. I already know what mine's going to be, but it'd just be fun to. I love stats.
Yeah, I don't know if you can do a list, but now in PlayStation you can sort by the games you put the most time into. I think Bloodborne is my second.
Interesting.
One. Yeah.
Kevin Honigford says, I'd have to get one of those Chinese calculator thingies and put it on repeat to count the number of games I've started, put some time into, and left in the dust behind me. Life's too short to spend time doing things you don't enjoy.
I get it, Kevin. You're better than me. All right.
Are you talking about an abacus?
That's not Chinese, is it?
They use it a lot.
Oh, I didn't know what he was talking about. I mean, abacus came to mind, but I thought that was Greek or Roman or something like that. But
who knows?
You're the teacher.
Right.
Yeah.
Teach.
We're studying Middle East. I don't know anything about that. Zach?
Tim Thane writes in and says, as an older gamer, I've come up with a rule for myself when it comes to gaming. And it's a simple question. Am I having fun? Is he channeling Marie Kondo? Does this spark joy? Anyway, Tim was saying, am I having fun? There's no better feeling than deleting a game I'm not enjoying and starting something new that I'm stoked for. The most recent example I can think of a game that I felt I had to push through was probably Jedi Survivor. I don't know, man. In theory, I should have loved that game, but I was so excited when I finally finished it. Some games I've quit on, Ghost Runner, Watch Dogs Legions, and Death Stranding. Death Stranding only at the very end, though. It was getting so long and I was tired of walking. I essentially watched a 2-hour movie on YouTube to finish it because I was really invested in the story. I could kind of get the Death Stranding because when you get that whiplash at the end of the game, and I don't know if this is a spoiler, but you can go 30 seconds ahead. But when you get to the end of the game, and it's basically like, now go backwards across all of the terrain you've traveled in the entire game if you want to see the ending. That's quite a what moment.
It's quite a middle finger to a player.
Yeah, yes, I know, but it I don't know. I did feel because you get to go back through and you'll see all all the highways you built or the bridges that made your life easier, and now you're seeing it in reverse. And you're like, oh, it's so great that I and the other players, did this together. So I saw what Kojima was going for, but it is a really you want to walk for 3 hours basically to see the ending.
Is it really a 3-hour walk?
I don't know. I do not remember. Oh,
do you have to balance stuff on the way back, or is it just a walk?
I remember balancing stuff, but I don't know if that's because I did side parcels along the way or not. It was so long ago, Scott. Please cut me some slack.
It's okay. You're not selling me on going back to that game. When they're talking about remastering that game, or were they, or Death Stranding 2?
Well, they did the PS5 port, if that's what you're talking about.
Okay, that's what it is. Then I'm like, man, I really should give that game a shot. And then I remember I rage quit that game so fast, man. I don't
think that game is for you.
It really isn't. It really.
But doesn't
isn't.
that bum you out? Don't you wish it was?
Seriously. And at least I'm the kind of person that says it's not for me. It's not a fault of the game. There's something wrong with me that doesn't like that style of game. And that's honestly how I feel. When I come across a game like that everybody loves and I don't, I'm jealous that I don't have whatever it is in me to like that game. You know what I mean?
I understand. No, yeah.
I just thought of another game. It's Shadow of War. You
finished that game?
Yes. So you go through the entire game and it gets to 90% done. And you're like, I'm so close there. And then you beat the final boss and then he runs away. And then it's like, oh, well, do all this other stuff. And then you go back and fight him, except it's a 10 to 20 hour grind to actually collect all of the stuff to get the true ending of the game. And so, yeah, I've seen the true ending of that game and it sucked.
Hearing about the fact that you do a 20-hour grind at the end of the game is what made me never pick it up in the first place.
Luckily, they did an update. It was the final update for the game. They removed the in-game store and they also removed the grind. It's now
boy. I wonder if those were connected at all.
No, I wonder. But yeah, now it turns into it turns into be a 2-hour grind, and then it's done.
Is it fun before that? Is it worth? Should I check it out? If I loved Shadow of Mordor, would it now be worth playing Shadow of War now that it's fixed?
Absolutely, I love that game. I go back to that game because I have it on disc, so it's not that hard to load it up.
Don't tell me that. I fell off that game 3 hours in. And because I love Shadow of Mordor so much.
So good.
Oh, yeah.
And I was so mad that I didn't like the other one. And
what about it didn't you like?
Man,
not to start a whole nother conversation, but...
No. I think just so many things. I didn't get that far, clearly. But, it was tedious. I'm in the middle of, trying to sneak through a village or whatever. And one of the orcs sees me. And decides that I'm being sneak, and all of a sudden it's like, I thought it was you, and then you can't skip the dialogue. You have to deal with that, even though I'm in the middle of. I got so annoyed.
Well, that's what made the first game fun, though. Is it was those unexpected encounters, right?
Yeah, but at least you could skip the dialogue. This is you had to sit there and listen to, unless they've patched it. There was no way to skip that dialogue. You had to sit there and watch that entire conversation. And if I had to deal with that, it's great. Then I'll kite him out of town or whatever, and then go back to my mission. But I just found myself getting so annoyed. Plus, Shadow of Mordor was such a perfect length. Like it was,
It's true.
and I like Shadow of War felt overwhelming. Like when
It felt over designed.
Yeah.
Or it looked. I never did play it, but the reviews, it looked so over. Like there was so much going on that was not going on in Shadow of Mordor. But I do want to check it out. I want to see the hot spider lady.
Anyway, that was a tangent. Jake, you got the last comment.
Yeah. Paul Hine says, I hope it speaks to my positive mental energy that I cannot remember a game that I just slogged through to get it done in recent times. I have started and forgotten more games than I have ever or will ever roll credits on. Have I ever suffered my way through a game? Yes. The Super Star Wars NES game comes to mind. Rented those games and ugly cried my way through those games that were so freaking hard. Even though I love all things Star Wars. Did I roll credits? Not even close. Did I maximize my rental time? Absolutely.
I can proudly say I did roll credits on all 3 of those games.
There you go.
They got progressively easier. And that's not saying they were easy, but Empire Strikes Back was definitely not a platform hell game like Star Wars was, and I feel like Return of the Jedi was manageable.
But we're back to the rented and ugly crying moment of slogging through these games. Because
yes.
I there's so many games that I have rented that have not been able to go, like, either I can't remember what they are or I just have never found them again, but I want to go back. One of the games is on Steam. It's called Glover. I don't know what it is about that game that I love so much, but
it's an old game, isn't it?
Oh yeah. I rented it when I was a kid and never rolled credits on it. But I have it in my backlog because I do want to go back and actually complete that at some point. But there's just so many other games that I want to do, and I really don't want to spend my time going back and playing such an old game.
Yeah.
Dude, Glover's so fun.
Is it 64?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Yeah. Never played it. I can just see the box art, though.
It's on Steam. It's on Steam now.
Nice.
So
you love the 64, though. We were talking about that yesterday.
Yeah.
It's like your favorite console.
What's not to love?
I know.
Right.
Besides Quest 64, of course.
Yeah. We all wanted to like that game a lot more than we did, right?
Yes.
Well, Zach, that was a great topic. Thanks for coming up with that one. And thanks to everybody that wrote in with all the comments. I had a really good time. Next week is another Zack topic. He came up with this one as well. We're going to be talking about microtransaction admissions. What is the thing that you spent money on for a game that you'd probably be embarrassed to admit that you spent money on for a game? Warframe. You give your answer now? Spoiler, it's going to be Warframe.
Hundreds of dollars.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to that one, though, for sure, so stay tuned. But that's going to do it for this episode of The Gaming Outsider. Thanks so much for listening. This episode was produced by Kevin Honigford, and all the music you hear is written and performed by Grant Henry of Stemage and Metroid Metal. As always, his website is stemagemusic.com. Please be sure to email us if you have any questions or concerns. Our address is feedback@thegamingoutsider.com. Jake, thanks so much for being our guest, man. It was a really great time to sit down and talk with you, man.
No problem. I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Yeah. Any parting words or recommendations for our listeners before we head out of here?
No. Zach,
how about you?
Cool. Yeah, Jacob. Hey, thanks for being here.
No, thanks.
Do we call you Jake? Is that what we do?
Yeah.
Scott.
That's fine.
Scott called you Jake.
It's on my shirt.
Okay.
Yeah. That's fine.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Well,
Long
I
time
just want to.
Long time listener, first time caller.
I'll hang up.
No, it's not. You've heard Jake's voice on reviews before. He's done.
No, I know. I didn't remember that on a shirt. It's just whenever he writes in, it says Jacob. So I thought it was Jacob. But if he prefers Jake, I want to give him the respect he deserves.
Please, I prefer Jacques.
All right, Jacques it is. Jacques, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Jacques Gunderson.
Don't ever do that again.
He's just respecting your culture.
Yeah.
Sorry, parting word. Another Apple TV recommendation. I guess I can be a shill for Apple TV right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I started watching Sugar.
Okay.
It's a Colin Farrell. It's a kind of a noir. Well, it is just a noir story about a missing, a producer's granddaughter went missing, and it's his investigation into it. It's very classic noir stylings, the overwrought narration and all of that. But what separates this show for me is that the main character, John Sugar, that Colin Farrell's playing, is like a really nice guy.
Don't see that anymore.
Yes, but he's just like he's he's paying homeless people to watch his car, or he's driving drunk women home, and even though they're throwing themselves at him, he's like, no, you're too drunk. I'm not drunk enough for this. He's like a really nice guy, and that's just so unusual for the hard-boiled private eye show. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we're coming full circle with that, right? Like now it's gonna be weird to be nice. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like,
right. I think you're right. And he's not drowning himself in whiskey over his lifetime of mistakes or anything. He's definitely got some kind of dark past that they're hinting at. But yeah, it's I don't know. It was just kind of refreshing to watch a story in this genre where the main dude's just a good dude.
right. All right.
And it's kind of and another fun thing they do. It's a little bit indulgent because it takes place in Hollywood, but the main character is obsessed with movies, like old black and white movies. So like when he does stuff like order a whiskey at a bar, it'll play a quick clip of a black and white movie of some guy being like, bartender, a whiskey over here, and then he'll kind of do and that'll play in place of him saying it. So it's just kind of telling you that he's kind of trying to live out a movies in his head.
Oh,
And I think that's kind of a fun way to do that.
that's cool. I need to re-up Apple. I've had a hankering to rewatch Severance, and I just keep hearing quality shows on there that I need to check.
Yeah, they don't have a lot of misses.
Yeah,
You got to check out Manhunt, Scott.
Mm-hmm.
Will they catch John Wilkes Booth? I don't know.
I may have to do that. I've also had a hankering to rewatch The Leftovers after watching Ghostbusters. Connie Coon is also in Leftovers. Her name's not Connie Coon. Carrie Coon? What's her name?
I love The Leftovers. I don't know her name.
I do love The Leftovers.
I haven't seen the show.
Well, she's the actress in the two Ghostbusters movies.
I haven't
the mom.
seen either.
Oh, you didn't see either? Okay, never mind then. It's going to drive me crazy. Someone will write in and correct me. But my recommendation is a pop punk album. The band is Bayside. They released a brand new album on Friday called There Are Worse Things Than Being Alive. It is just feel-good punk rock music, and I've listened to it multiple times. So if you like punk, I would recommend Bayside. So I'm not even a big... as much as I like that genre of music, I never got into Bayside, but this one was actually recommended to me by another podcast, and I checked it out, and I really, really dug it. So hope you enjoy it. All right. Well, Zach, thanks as always for being here. Jake, thanks again. It was great hanging out with you yesterday and talking with you tonight. So until next week, I'm Scott Clark with Zach Parkerson and Jacob Gunderson, and we are The Gaming Outsider. And remember, there's no such thing as a bad game, just games that aren't for you.